Good morning, everybody. It is Dr. Zen Moffat here with Elaine McKinley and Clara Moore. And we're here with our fourth episode of Clutter Talk. We're very glad to have you all with us. Do you want to give us a wave, Clara?
Hi, good morning.
And Elaine?
Hi, morning.
We'll just work out the delay on Zoom, but it's really lovely to see everybody. So what we're going to talk about today, or what we're going to look at, is we've got a couple of really exciting people coming to check in and say hello, and there's some of Elaine's clients, and it's Mariella and Chrissy. So in about 10 minutes, we'll invite them in and see what their experience has been like working with Elaine. So we get all the dirty secrets. Really, is she really as good as we think she is?
I hope so.
I was like, yeah. And then we're gonna in the second bit we're gonna look at what our perfect objects are, and what is clutter, what is a perfect object, and have a wee chat about that. So if people have thoughts, or if people want to send pictures in or text us about what could be your perfect object, that would be great. And I've now put at the bottom of my screen, there's like the text number there. So it's 077-265-30217. That's 077-265-30217. And you can text that in. I've also put it on the wall there. And we can read out any messages, or you can message us on YouTube. And I think Elaine or Clara might be keeping an eye on that. Maybe Clara, someone might be. One of us will be. We'll get it sorted out. I think that's all the business, really. So Elaine, how have you been?
Yeah, okay. I've got a bit of sinusitis this morning, so sorry everybody for wearing my darker glasses. The light from the screens is affecting me a little bit, since I'm a hands-on person and not really a technical person. So yeah, struggling a wee bit with that, but on the whole, good, thanks. Yeah.
And have you had some quite good, I think you've had some good feedback from people.
I have. I've had some great feedback. This week I've had Gemma from South Queensferry, who has said that she's been putting the bite-sized cleaning tips that we mentioned last week in practice. She said that she's added it on to her daily routine of boiling the kettle. So while she's boiled the kettle, she's popped out and done a wee cleaning. I think she said it was in her bathroom. She did a quick clean around her bathroom, and so that was a really useful thing. And so well done to you, Gemma, for doing that. And I had another person text me, and that's Janie. And she said she was doing a garage declutter, and she'd taken on our suggestions about, again, doing it in bite-sized chunks, but also starting at one side of the garage and working round, and then breaking for lunch in the middle. So she kept her energy levels up. And also that she was now enjoying new shelves that she put up in the garage, and was looking forward to doing all her potting of her summer plants there. So brilliant job, guys. Keep up the good work. Yeah, fab.
Absolutely. And I had a couple of messages through as well. And from one who said that every time she watches it now, she does 5 minutes declutter. So we're now a regular slot. And I'm like, hold on, we've known each other for about 7 years. Have you not picked up on the messages before now? Why is it that I have to come into your telly, into your living room? But that's actually one of the really lovely things. Like, people are saying that they're listening to us, or just sort of our voices in the background, and fair enough, you can only watch us for so long, but actually getting on with stuff, it's motivational, that rhythm and that regularity, and just having us nattering in the background. Clara, how have you been? How's your week been?
My week has been taken up by an unwell puppy, visits back and forward to the vets, and broken nights of sleep. So a bit of a migraine for me, and vomiting yesterday. So
oh, nice.
I'm on the mend now, and so am I. So feeling better today after a unbroken night's sleep last night. And I've had a few messages as well, just the same, saying that people are enjoying listening to us in the background whilst they have the company and tackle things in their homes. And one client I work with, he has said that he's been continuing to do bits in between when we speak each week, and we're going to do an hour's virtual session together on Friday, so he's feeling very motivated. So
and I think that's actually really quite interesting, that idea of company, and we'll bring that into our sort of conversations with Mariella and Chrissy. I think, you know, what is it about company that can be really helpful to decluttering and to just that companionship. I wonder if either of you have any sort of thoughts on that.
I think
Elaine?
I think that a lot of people maybe have the intention to do things, but sometimes don't quite get round to doing it. And we find that when we go in, they have the intention, but need us there to focus them. But this is another way of people tuning in without or setting an intention and actually making it happen without having someone physically in their home with them. So that's lovely to hear. And Clara's got a great little slogan that we've added to the bottom of our sort of information posts there. What's that little bit that you came out with, Clara?
Well, last week I had said from our living rooms to your living room, but really from our home to your home. Yeah,
cool.
I agree with the sense of company, because a lot of times we can sit in a pre-contemplation phase where we're thinking about doing something, but we get stuck in the procrastination part of it, because change, whilst it's exciting, it's also challenging. So having company and having someone to say, well, actually, yes, I did push through and start this, really makes a difference. Then.
Yeah, and I think also to have a witness as well, just to have someone kind of share with you your memories, both happy and sad, and your favorite objects, you know, the joy, going, oh, I remember this, and this is what, and it's actually just someone to witness that, and to say yes, it is valid and it's lovely. And and then to come up with some ideas as well, and having that external perspective, we're able to kind of give some more ideas about where things can go and where they can be put and what you can do with them, because we're not emotionally attached as our clients are. Elaine, I was wondering if you could maybe introduce Mariella, who I think might have some interesting things to say on this as well. And Mariella, I'll give you a heads up. I'm going to admit you from the waiting room shortly. There may be a 10-second delay now from YouTube, but if you just want to chat for a bit, Elaine, and then we'll admit Mariella.
Okay, so last week, after the success of having a couple of Clara's clients on, we decided that what we would try and do each week is bring a couple of each person's clients into our wee meetings here. So this is Mariella, and Mariella lives in Paisley, and she got in touch with me because she was struggling a little bit with paperwork. So hopefully Mariella will be able to elaborate on how we work together, but also what advantages it was to have a person like me, a declutterer, beside her, supporting her. So hi, Mariella.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, welcome into our Zoom Clutter Talk Live. Lovely to have you, and thank you very much for agreeing to share some of your stories. So what was it like? Well, first of all, how did you find Elaine?
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, I watch a lot of declutter type videos and read declutter books. It doesn't always translate to doing it myself. And I actually searched for the hashtag declutter on Instagram, and Elaine's Instagram came up, and I just loved the aesthetic of it, and Elaine's bio, and I was looking for some help to tackle a backlog of paperwork, and I got in touch with Elaine and she came out for a consultation, and I immediately felt very comfortable with her. She has that sports coach mentality. She's very positive and sort of uplifting to be around. And so then she ended up coming to my home for a full day to work on paperwork last May, just about this time last year. So yeah, Instagram was how I found Clear Mountain.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think so. What, Elaine? What is your Instagram tag thing?
At Clear Mountain Decluttering is the Instagram account, and then obviously we've got Facebook account, which is at Clear Mountain Decluttering and Lifestyle Organising, and then there's a Twitter account actually at Clear Mountain UK. But it's interesting how different people use different mediums or social platforms. And Mariella's younger, a bit younger than some of my clients, so it's interesting that dynamic use, that sort of the Instagram platform to search for people. So that's another way of finding people like us. And maybe on that note, I can just quickly tell everybody about who we are. So, I'm Elaine McKinlay of Clear Mountain Decluttering and Lifestyle Organising. We've got Clara Moore of Joy of Space and Dr. Zem Moffat of Insightful Moves. And we are all professional organisers and members of ABTO, the Association of Professional Declutterers and Organisers. And we have lots of colleagues throughout the UK. And we have about 20 or so here in Scotland. So you pop onto the ABTO website and you pop in your postcode and you find the person nearest to you. Now, the other thing is that we all specialise in different things. So I specialise in motivation and lifestyle organising. Clara is trained in the Marie Kondo method of tidying and organising. And Dr. Zem is our resident anthropologist and sociologist. Oh gosh,
Sociologist for the morning.
My teeth, I need to work this out, how we're going to say this. Anyway, we all run a course at the University of Strathclyde's Lifelong Learning Centre. We present at the Ideal Home Show, and we run workshops in and around the community. And actually, we went out to Mariella, who is involved in the Rotary, isn't it, Mariella?
Yeah, volunteering.
So we went out and had a chat with a group at the Rotary, actually, and we were very kindly asked out there. So we're out and about in the community. So if anybody ever wants to see us in person when this is all over, then give us a call or give us an email, and you can contact us on, and I'm going to have to lift my glasses here to see what the text number. The telephone number, you do it, yeah.
It's 077 265 30217, and it's on there. It should be at the bottom of my screen.
Yeah,
there.
I see it. We see it. So, going back to working with you, Mariella, it was paperwork we worked on, and how did you find the process of starting the paperwork journey, really? Tell us a little bit about that.
For me, it was, a mound of paperwork that I had let build up for a variety of excuses, coming in from work, and I'll tackle that later. People were coming over, I would kind of gather stuff and put it in a cupboard so everything looked surface clean and tidy. But then I knew that I had this, cupboard full of papers that I had to sort. So some of it was personal admin, some of it was from Rotary, from volunteering. We have a lot of minutes and leaflets and different things, and it just built up to a point where I didn't personally deal with it, and I would find any excuse not to. So for me, the benefit of having you come in was it was a designated day to work on it, because if I'd said to myself, oh sure, Saturday I'll do the paperwork, inevitably I would have found something much more fun to do that Saturday. And the fact that we had that booked in, I knew it was 8 till 4, and I knew from meeting with you in the consultation that you would sort of match my pace and what I would be comfortable with. You know, I'd said, oh, I have some sentimental stuff to go through. I don't know if I'm ready for that for our session, but I would like some help with the paperwork. Inevitably, some sentimental items or items relating to family estate were in that mix, but because we were already working on it, it was easier to work through. So I think for me, it was having that designated day and the accountability of having a professional organizer there, but also just help to create a system, because for me, certain things are nice to organise. I like organising books, that's no problem. Organising clothes is quite fun, but I couldn't figure out a good system for papers. And if you look online, yes, there are resources, but it can be quite overwhelming sometimes to figure out how that will work for you. So the fact that you said to me in advance, well, maybe just create a filing system, like have you got a filing cabinet? I did. I wasn't using it as a filing cabinet. You know, get some hanging things. So I had bought those before you came, and then the fact that you helped me sort everything into categories. You know, so someone coming in, even though they don't know your stuff, can quite easily figure out, oh, that's banking, or that's driving, or that's, you know, your volunteer group. And so you were sorting that, and then I was purging. So that then helped to power through things quite quickly. And I think by the end of it, you know, with bags and bags of recycling and shredding. My one regret was you did offer to take the shredding away, and that was like a slightly additional cost. And I was like, oh, I'll shred it. And of course, then I had to shred that myself later. And thankfully, I had a friend who really loves shredding, so she had a bit of a shredding party. Of course, I trusted her as well with the confidential things. So that helps, because if not, there's a danger in letting that sit, you know. So I think that's a really good part of the service that you offer, to actually take things away for people under normal circumstances, of course, and recycling and everything's open. So there was a lot of that. Just, I think generally your sort of attitude and the motivation element of having literally a coach by your side, matching the pace that I was comfortable with. And I wanted to go at quite a pace that day, but other people might, for whatever reason, not feel comfortable with that and need to go a bit slower. And then just the support to take stuff away and to create a system that, you know, those of us who don't always think like that would necessarily be able to create on our own.
There's a great saying. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was Michelle Obama, actually, and she said everybody needs to walk their own walk. And I think it's a really good phrase, actually, about everybody does everything at their own pace. And that's where it's very important for us going in as professional organisers and to help people to establish what a person's pace is. And if they're struggling, to slow that pace down, or if they're highly motivated, to you know, keep it going and keep it focused. So that's a really valid point about you know, because sometimes when we come across sentimental items, the pace just drops. You know, and it's a good way for us to sense how the person is feeling, and also keep the drive forward, but it may need to be at a slower pace. So I don't know if any of you girls, Clara, have you ever experienced that when you're having to adjust your pace for working with people?
Yeah, I experienced actually working with someone through all the categories, so clothing, books, paperwork, kimono, which is everything else. And by the time we got to sentimental, which is the last category with the Marie Kondo method, actually the pace really increased. What was slower to begin with was clothing, because of the attachments and the person and the issues that they wanted to work through to do with clothing. So by the time we got to sentimental, it actually just took a couple of hours. So it can work both ways. You know, it isn't always the area you think is going to be slow that is slow. But that's lovely hearing, Mariella, how you experienced your time with Elaine. And how has it been for you since then? How's your system been, your paperwork system?
I mean, no, that's been a year, so it's probably due a check-in actually, because that'll be a year's worth of things that could go. it has helped to have that system, to know. I think you said it on last week's call about having a place for everything in its place. That's what I have found tricky personally, just for organising, is like my kitchen is easy enough to organise because there's a drawer for everything and I know where it should go. If you don't have the system, then that's where you get what I had, like the piles of paper, you know, that don't really have a home. So yeah, I wouldn't say by any means I'm perfect. In fact, I told my auntie that I was coming on this call about organising, and she burst out laughing, and I kind of had to stop her, go, I'm not being used as a shining example of organisation. I'm talking about what it's like to work with an organiser. So, you know, so that wasn't a very nice endorsement, actually. The flip side to that is I did have a friend say to me yesterday, oh, but you're very organised. I can't imagine you would need to work with an organiser, which I thought was quite interesting because she knows me from my work where I was organising events, small scale, large scale events, which required a lot of sort of meticulous attention to detail and organisation. But, you know, I had to explain to her, well, I can be like that for work or for voluntary work or when it involves other people, but sometimes you don't always do that for yourself. And I think that's quite an interesting point, that, you know, how you value yourself and value your space. And I was just leaving that to the side. So I now recognise that taking care of these things is also sort of taking care of myself, because it was stressing me out to have those papers. But yeah, I'm still probably a work in progress on that front, which is
It's good that you say, because you're recognising that for you, paperwork maybe is just a thing that will be a bit more of a challenge, which some people love paperwork. I don't, but some people do. I love working with clients with paperwork. My own paperwork is a bit more of a challenge for me to keep on top of, and I have to choose things alongside of it to give myself a reward after I've tackled it. So it's interesting that you bring up that point, that it's easier to do something in a work setting, but how that translates in your own home setting can take a bit more work. And when you're aware of that, that can be a good place to be in, wouldn't you say, Elaine?
Yes, yeah. And there's lots of people like that who are highly organised at work, but come home and really don't want to even start it, you know. So, you know, we've used this phrase before, decluttering is a journey, it's not a destination. So, I mean, it's all about keeping on top of it. And, you know, there's a great tip that I use with clients, and that is when the clocks go back and when the clocks go forward, these are natural times that, you know, can prompt you to declutter, especially paperwork. So natural times in the year, and then now, of course, there are different things that we can obviously do to cut down on paperwork. We can go digital for quite a lot of things if you're into that. And I think you'll agree, maybe Mariella, we find a lot of duplicates of things. So most people have a lot of duplicate pieces of paperwork, you know, that have been sent out a couple of times, or have been somewhere and you've picked things up and you realize you've got two of them. So just keeping on top and revisiting, you know, your filing system at the time that's for you. But again, clocks go forward, clocks go back are a really good way of doing that. What do you think, Zem? Do you have any systems for that?
I think that paperwork's really tricky. I think it's tricky for sort of many different reasons. One, like, since, you know, for many years we've been able to buy it and have so much of it, and it's so disposable, and yet we're also culturally kind of very attached, I think, to almost the sanctity of the written word, like to let go of writing. Like in our culture, we'd never burn a book. It's like, it's sort of sacrilege. So there's also this almost sort of cultural resistance to letting go of paper and words. And then plus you've got so many different types. You've got your flyers, you've got your magazines, some are free, some are not. You've got financial papers, which can have a whole weight of emotion and responsibility, guilt and shame invested in it, and loads of different stuff. And then it's the physicality. Like, it might be quite easy to declutter bigger objects and they create a lot more space quite easily. But paper, I mean, there's so much information, there's so much in each bit, and each person, you know, you need to go through it quite systematically. So I think paperwork, and it's about identity. So people will have sort of books, or you've got academics who kind of collect a lot of stuff, and there's security, like, should I keep hold of that for 7 years, 8 years, 9 years, 10 years if you're self-employed? So I think it's really tricky, Elaine. And how we start in the group I run, Clutter Chat, is we advise that people, first of all, you need to put like with like. So you put all the flyers together, you put all the bills together, and then if it's financial, you might need to get some advice from someone that you trust, an accountant or someone, and go, well, actually, what do I need to keep? So you need to get the actual information. And then you can start setting up a system. And it's really a system that works for you. So whether it's filing, if you're visual, how it works. But I think the bottom line is try and deal with it as soon as it comes in the house. And don't let it rest. So yeah, but I think those are my thoughts, really. And often you need a bit more advice, you need a bit of company and a bit of reassurance that it's okay to let go of that. It's okay. You're going to be secure, like, legally, if you let go of that, or whatever. And there's lots of creative possibilities, but I think it's tricky. Clara.
I was just going to say, do what works for you. And for me, I'm dyslexic, so I have a clear plastic binder. And as Elaine suggested, when the clocks change, I go through things. So I have in my plastic binder, I have my house insurance, and I have a wee sticker saying it renews the 1st of June. I have my MOT that renews mid-June, my car payments to be paid by July. So I have things that I went through, and they all have a sticker on the top of the Polly Pocket. So I have it date ordered for when I need to deal with it. And that works for me as a person that's dyslexic, because I can clearly see, and I've got a task for when it needs completed. But for other people, they might prefer things in a filing cabinet. So it's what works for you as an individual.
Yeah, I work with a lot of elderly people who are overwhelmed with paperwork, and what I set up is what you've got there, Clara, and I set up a folder like that, an easy to get in and out folder for them, with all their household stuff, and then their medical things, and then family bits and pieces, etc. And just recently, actually, one of my clients was looking for the warranty for her dishwasher that had gone on the blink, and she said to me, oh, it was so easy because I could just go to the household one. I could find all the warranties for all the electrical goods, pulled it out, got it sorted. The man's coming tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So it does make a difference. It makes your life a lot easier and a lot quicker sometimes. I just wanted to touch on the fact that as ABTO members, we have an ABTO member in Glasgow.
I was about to say this. I'm glad you're about to be. I was going, are we going to mention Kate Galbally?
Yeah. We have Kate Galbally of Better Organised, who is one of our colleagues in Glasgow. And she specialises in paperwork and helping companies, etc. She does a lot of corporate work, I think. So if you're struggling with paperwork and it's a bit of a bigger job, or you've got a home office, or you're running a business from home, somebody like that is ideal. So it's about us. If you were to contact me, I would probably pass you on to Kate, and that goes the same for the other girls as well. We all specialize in something different, and what we want is the best for the client. So if we can't sort it, we know somebody who can. So thank you, Mariella, so much for giving up your time to come in and tell us a bit about your paperwork decluttering journey. I hope that we will meet in person again, if not through Rotary, through something else. But I really thank you for coming on and saying those kind words about our sessions. And finally, with the shredding aspect of things, we've obviously got to be careful with our personal data. So most of the shredding companies are now opening up facilities for you to take a bag of shredding to the facility and watch it being shredded. And I think Highland Shredding in Glasgow have done that recently. It's £1.50 a plastic bag, and you go up and you can stand on the platform and you can watch it getting shredded. So if you're struggling with,
fun.
you know, if you're struggling with putting it through the shredder that you know is going to run out in 10 minutes because it'll burn up or whatever, gather it up. But the key thing, as Mariella said, is to take it out of the house. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on and giving up your time.
Yeah, no, it's lovely to have you at our group, and I love watching your videos every week as well. It's a good wee motivations and something productive to do as well during this time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mariella, do you have any last words to add?
Oh my words of wisdom.
Is that good?
Appreciated what was said last week about timing. You know, if you've only got 5 minutes, just do that 5 minutes and you'd be surprised what you could do. My mum, when I was a kid, would always say to me, put on a CD and just tidy your room for the duration. You know, music is a good motivation for me for any organising or tidying. But also, if you can get a bit of support, whether that's virtually through a meeting with yourselves or a family member or a friend who's naturally good at organising, then do that, as long as it's someone who will be supportive and doesn't necessarily have a vested interest in your stuff. And that's the advantage, obviously, of working with professionals, is your attitude is professional and you don't have any claim to the things that you're sorting. You're just sort of helping that person. So if you can get the support, or if you feel you need the support, I think it's a good idea to reach out and get it, because it is helpful.
Thank you very much, Mariella. We will wave goodbye. I think I can do this somehow. I think you can exit the meeting somehow, can't you? So I'm going to put you back in the waiting room. Enjoy the waiting room. There's lots of tea and coffee there. Bye.
I know.
Thank you.
Bye.
So I thought that was really interesting. So soon we'll invite in Chrissy, who will be the next one, who I think might have something more to say about working with somebody and empathy and companionship and that support. But could you, Elaine, just remind us of what's that shredding company in Glasgow?
There's Highland Shredding, which are based up in East Kilbride. If you're in the west of Scotland there, you can stand on the platform and watch it getting shredded. Or there's Shred It. If you are running a business from your home and you would prefer, if it's a lot of stuff that you don't want to take out, they actually provide a service where they'll come and shred it outside your door, I think, actually, in a big van. So depends how much you've got, but if it's you know, if it's manageable and you can bag it up and you've got the motivation to take it, I would do that. In general, we try not to take personal data away, because obviously there's the legal reasons for that. But obviously, when Mariella doesn't have a car, so I was going to take some stuff for her straight to the shredding, but she decided to do it her own way. But
I think it sounds like a lot of fun standing on the platform. In fact, I wish I had shredding to do. I just want to do it for £1.50. You just go and watch it happen.
I think you have to book in to watch it, but it's definitely £1.50 per bag to take.
Magic.
I think you have to book in to watch. And obviously, you won't be watching it just now. I don't think you'll watch it just now. Okay.
Right. So we have both Chris's iPhone and Chrissy in the waiting room. Do you want to introduce Chrissy, Elaine? And
she's just sending me a little message. Yeah, that's okay. She's okay. She's all right.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So this is.
Does she want to come in on her iPhone or on the computer?
I don't know. Just bring her in or something.
Excellent.
So this is Chrissy, and Chrissy. I worked with Chrissy in her home because Chrissy will elaborate on that a bit more. But Chrissy has a chronic illness and was finding it hard to have the energy to do she's in twice, but there she is. Hi, Chrissy. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi.
Good. So I'm just saying that we worked a little bit, I'm just kind of introducing you there, Chrissy. So just that we met a couple of times and then we started some sessions. So if you want to elaborate a wee bit on our sessions or how we met or all that sort of stuff, over to you.
Yeah, and thank you for your patience. We got all talking about paperwork and got quite excited about it.
I did WhatsApp Elaine going, hello.
Welcome, Chrissy. How was it working with Elaine?
It's been great and ongoing. When I've been wanting to declutter my flat for a long time, and I've made several attempts with various helpers and on my own and everything. And that the reason that it's not been resolved, well, manyfold, but I have MS and depression and anxiety. So there's a lot of people think that MS is mostly physical. Well, a lot of my problems are actually cognitive, and I forget things easily, including phoning my mother, believe it or not. One of my major problems is taking the first step to start things. So actually taking the first step. They call it lack of motivation, which is completely wrong, because I'm highly motivated. I just can't actually do it. So it took me a very long time to realize that actually I needed a professional to help me set up a schedule which would suit me physically and mentally, and that would be able to fit in with my very small flat and my life. And I looked at a few people, and Elaine had a video up at the time, and the way she spoke was just so down to earth. And I can't remember even the exact phrases and things, but she said a few things that just really struck a chord. It's like, she's talking to me. So I thought I'd contact her. And we had a phone conversation, which I think lasted about 45, 50 minutes. And I say to people now, she just got me. She just totally got me, and preempted some of the things I was going to say about the issues of wanting to do things, but actually then having anxiety about it, but also wanting to get it done and having all these kind of dreams about what to do. But my dreams, I had that typical, I wanted the whole elephant in one go, and I wasn't thinking about the smaller bites. And Elaine very quickly took it down to smaller bites. And so yeah, then Elaine came to visit me and again got me and talked about simple things and that. And at the time I had a support worker, so we'd hoped that I'd be able to do some things with support worker. And things weren't going very well for lots of reasons. Elaine came back when my support worker was visiting and talked us both through exactly how to start in my lounge, and literally pointed and said, right, do this, and took us through. And it was like a mini 1 hour lesson, and it was amazing. So, and all the way through, I felt that Elaine is somebody that I can talk to. And that's been like the key. And I think she just gets me. And you know, when you meet somebody, there's just some people you just totally trust, and some people you won't. There are only certain parts of your life. Well, Elaine is one of those people that I think she knows more about me than some of my friends. And that was my choice. She didn't pull it out of me, but that's worked for me, because it's sometimes hard to talk about your I hate the word weaknesses, but yeah, that kind of the things I know I'm not able to do that I used to be able to do. I used to be an operations manager in engineering. I used to manage a £2 million budget, and now I'm lucky if I can manage my purse because of my cognitive problems. And so I need somebody like Elaine for that motivation and for that support. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for all your nice words. Yeah, I paid you well, didn't I? Paid you well. No, it's been a lovely experience working with Chrissy, and we're still in contact now, and it is an ongoing process because nothing is going to happen overnight. And we obviously have to, when you have a chronic illness like MS, and you know, your energy levels are low, then it's very important that we work to your levels. And I think we worked out a sort of strategy of how to do that, and put a few things in place about how to motivate you to just try to go back to just doing the wee bite-sized chunks. And then Clara always talks about, you know, celebrating a bit of success when that happens. So that was great. And recently we've worked on your kitchen, and we did all that because you wanted to start baking and things like that again. So we had a big session doing your kitchen, and we were able to remove stuff that you didn't use or need anymore, which was, I think you felt that was slightly lighter, you know, around the kitchen for working around the kitchen. So that was lovely words. Thank you so much. Any of you girls got anything to ask?
We like
Chris?
to ask. Clara.
I'm just really pleased that you found Elaine and that you connected with her and had that sense of trust. And I think for me, working with Elaine and Zem, what I love is their sense of authenticity, that who you get just now is how they are, and that just that genuine love of wanting to work with people and help people transform their lives and their homes. And it's a very good point that you made, Chrissy, is that the connection that you feel with the person, you have to really, it has to be the right person for you, that connection. And it can be, for many reasons, it can not be the right person for you. Perhaps the organiser's great, but they remind you of someone that you worked with that irritated you, or they remind you of aspects of a family member. But when you meet that person and you connect with them, it can be magical in just helping you feel seen and helping you transform your life in small steps that suit your circumstances. So I'm so pleased that you found Elaine. Thank you for sharing that.
Can I say on that point as well that it's some of the things are things that I wouldn't have necessarily thought about as well. And Elaine, because of Elaine's experience, she brought up in conversation that she'd done certain things with other people, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And even just over the phone. And so those things have really helped. And the fact that she's given me examples for other people, it also makes you think, well, I'm not the only one with this issue. And I've stopped beating myself up about it, except a couple of weeks ago when you first started these talks, and I was like, Elaine, she calmed me down. She said, just relax into it. You don't. And I've actually been going around saying to people, you know, through lockdown, people are talking about what you're going to achieve. And I'm on a declutter group, and all these people are saying, oh, I should be decluttering. And I'm like, no, just go with the flow, don't push yourself. And Elaine's very good at that. She's good at motivating, but she also doesn't make you feel guilty when you haven't done a thing. So yeah.
No, that's our motto just now. Go with the flow. Yeah. So if you feel motivated, go for it. If you don't, chill out, then that's the way you should be, you know. There's no rhyme and reason. There's lots of people out there who are saying, you know, you need to get motivated every day. Well, do you know what? Just some days you don't feel motivated, and we don't feel motivated either, you know. This why we started this was that we felt that if people saw us real in our homes, dealing with the same things that everybody else is dealing with, then that might be useful for some people. And I think what's happened is that it has shown that, and the feedback that we're getting is fantastic. So thank you. Sam, do you have any questions?
Always, Elaine. I always have questions. But I'm really enjoying listening. And I noticed the word that's come up is relaxation. So we have behind Elaine, we have the word relaxation, and there we go. And in the wonderful group that I run called Clutter Chat, wonderful because they're all just wonderful people, really. But we have this mantra, which is relax into the rhythm of regularly repeated routines. So relax into the rhythm of regularly repeated routines. And there is something there is something relaxing about routine. Routine doesn't have to be, you must do this, da 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 da. It doesn't have to be military. It can be actually very relaxing. But the key word is relaxing. And also what I'm hearing is this idea of going at pace. So both what Chrissy you've said and what Our last speaker said his name, Mariella, sorry, his name just ran out of my head. But it's finding that right person and working with the pace. So finding someone that you can walk with, you can work with. And I think for myself, it's trying to really intuit or sense that pace in the client. Like, what is it? And even if to them it seems tiny, like they're making tiny steps, they are moving. And clutter is, and it's about moving and moving. It doesn't really matter how fast or how slow. It's really about just that shift and that movement. So Chrissy, I was wondering, do you have any questions for Elaine or Clara? Not for me, obviously. I don't want to answer any.
Yes, but
No, you
can
can.
I just pick up,
Do you have any questions for us? Yes, go ahead.
yeah, can I pick up on something that Clara said first,
Yeah.
which is, I think one of the reasons that probably any of you would have clicked with me was because you said about helping people. And my past careers, now I'm actually just about to start tonight a personal development course because I feel slightly unfulfilled because I've got all this knowledge and all this skills in here and I don't work anymore. And it is about finding that somebody clicks with you. And I think that's why it's worked. It's because I feel that it's not about how good Elaine feels about it. It's about helping me. And I think that comes across very obviously. Yeah, questions. I don't know whether this is going to come up in any of the talks you're doing, but I have a question about electronic decluttering. I have been trying to email declutter because I didn't physically feel up to doing anything else. And I've been photo decluttering, but of course that's always a bit of a black hole. So I've been diving down the electronic photo hole. And I wondered whether we're going to cover that in another session or whether anybody's got any quick tips.
Well, sorry,
Clara?
Clara.
Go, Clara.
You
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say, with photo decluttering, we can get overwhelmed with the sheer volume of photos. So it can be good to put them into categories, because you might have 40 photos of a birthday party. So put them into categories of birthdays, of holidays, of whatever categories make sense to you, and then aim to keep the best 5 or however how many make sense to you out of that category, because it's the sheer repetition of the number of photos, and you can keep the memory and the experience, keep the object that your energy rises up towards that makes you feel joyful, and let the others go. And
that makes, yeah.
If you need a bit of extra time with that, then keep them in you can keep them in a trash folder or an archive if you're not quite ready to let them go, but put them into subcategories and keep the ones that speak to you out of the subcategories.
Thank you, because I started that kind of thing yesterday because I was actually looking for some specific pictures, and because I couldn't remember dates, it was really hard. And I wasn't sure, when I found like slightly repetitive ones, not quite the same, I wasn't quite sure what to do with them, but I hadn't thought about setting up a kind of archive folder. So thank you, that's really useful. And actually it was lovely because I spent half a day looking at memories. It was really nice.
Yeah, and I think that's the lovely thing about having the time to be able to go through photographs and go through objects and kind of revisit those stories and tell stories and new stories about the photographs and start like letting go. And I say my background has also been in sort of filmmaking, and so decluttering, I kind of it's like kind of making a documentary film where you have 12 hours of footage that you have to get down to half an hour. So you just need that one image that represents the whole. It's like picking up a leaf off the forest floor. So it's that leaf stands for the whole forest. You don't need to keep the forest. You just need the leaf that reminds you of everything that's happening. And so when I kind of help people declutter, it's like, well, what is that one thing that is really significant, that can tell them all the story for you? So I think that's what we're going to actually segue into and move on to. So we're also kind of thinking about what is our perfect object, or what is the ideal object? How do we decide? How do we make that choice about what to keep hold of and what to let go of? So I'd like to say, Chrissy, thank you so much for coming on our show. It's been a
Thank
real
you.
delight to hear, and with I think for listeners to know about the struggles with sort of when you have chronic health conditions. I know a lot of the people that I work with, and Clara as well, that it's not lack of motivation, or it's not lack, it's other things that are going on, and often you can get overwhelmed by so much judgment from society. So hopefully we're starting to kind of demystify some of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheerio.
Thank you, Chrissy. Yes, thank you so much for all your kind words, and we'll speak soon. Oh, she's gone.
Yay. So what do you think of that?
That was good. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to, because I guess for me, I go in and do the job, but I don't actually get a chance to get, more of an insight into how people are feeling. So that was lovely. Thank you. Yeah, it's good. Mhm.
You didn't blush too much.
No. You know me.
Stoic. So the last part of Clutter Talk today, we're going to think about or talk about what our favorite objects are. And so I posted a little video on our YouTube channel, Clutter Chat, and it's called The Perfect Object. And it is a video about one of my perfect objects. It's been in my life for a long time, and also about my neighbours when I lived in the Forest of Dean. And so I'm going to flash up some photographs of what my perfect object still is, but it's been through a couple of sort of revolutions. So this is when I first got my perfect object.
Oh, it's your truck.
It's my truck. And that's me helping a family friend declutter, actually move out of a big floor flat in Edinburgh. And that was the carpet. Yes, the truck helped. I have to say, take to the dump, because it was quite old, but truck I love. And in the video I tell you all about why I love truck. Basically inherited, useful, full of love, and obviously beautiful, a 1989 Toyota pickup truck, Toyota Hilux pickup. So that's my perfect objects. Elaine and Clara, what are your perfect objects?
This is one of mine, which is an item my grandfather used to travel. They had an antique shop on my mum's side, and this is something that they brought back from one of their journeys, and it's full of buttons.
Oh,
So I used to play with this as a child, and now my children play with it. It's got 2 layers, and it's such a sensory pleasing thing. It has lovely memories of lazy Sundays, spreading out the buttons and sewing them onto things and taking them off again. It's quite a kind of Indian kind of scene that's on it. So that's one of mine. And this that my children gave me, a bit of amethyst, which I keep by my bed, which is ironic given the amount of sleep I've lost during their lives. Amethyst is for good sleep, so they chose me this. It's actually from a charity shop, but I love the irony behind this one. They're my couple of my perfect objects.
Elaine, do you have anything?
So my one is my big fist pump. And actually it's lost the end, it's lost the big finger that sticks out. And the girls are laughing because I take it to our course when we do our course at the University of Strathclyde's Lifelong Learning Centre. And, I say to people, it's a fun object. I point at people with it, but in a fun way. But my finger from the end of it has gone because my great nephew was playing with it and it fell off. So I've only got an actual fist pump bit of it now.
Like a fist bump now.
It's like a wee fist pump now.
All right, ladies, let's fist bump. There we go.
Hey.
Saying hi.
But it's also very, very useful for saying to Mr. McKinley, time for tea, Mr. McKinley. Give him a little tap with the shoulder. And so it's a useful object. It's a really useful object. I love it.
And so last week we set the challenge of the 5-minute declutter, and I think, Elaine, you spoke before about how people had started to use that when they were making a cup of tea. They did a 5-minute declutter, so that was successful. And this week I wonder if we could ask people to try and find out, show us what your perfect object is. Is there something? Can you send us through a photograph, or just have a think about it? So to help people think about it, what is the difference between clutter and useful or perfect objects? Like how do we figure that out? And Clara, I think you said, is it something that should bring you joy, or what is it? Can it just bring you joy, or does it need to be useful as well, or?
Both. It can be functional. It can be, for someone it could be a sports bra. They love going out and running, so that's a perfect functional object for them because of their particular interest. It could be a yoga mat because of the joy and peace that yoga has brought to their life. So it could be a child's drawing. It could be a stone off of the beach, something that your energy feels lifted, that you feel connected to, that you just want to hold close to your heart, or because it's functional.
And would you say that if an object doesn't lift your heart, then you should let it go?
If it doesn't lift your heart and it's not functional for you, then yes. Why do you have it in your life? What is it bringing to your life? What's it adding to your life? Is it a pleasure, or is it a burden? Is it something that's taking up space? For me, I was saying to Zem earlier, I have gone through my books and I have little stickers, little cards on books that I'm reading, and I've had them weighed at the post office, and I'm going to send them to various different friends and people. So they're a pleasure, but they're not something that I want to keep in my life. I'd like to share them. And if the person that receives them doesn't enjoy them, then they can just pass them on as well. So things might be temporary as well, and transitional in your life as well.
Yeah, I think also it's that going back to the concept of less is more. And sometimes if we go into houses and people have got a lot of ornaments on the worktop, and they say, oh, I love all these ornaments. And then when you actually start to deconstruct taking the ornaments off, they go, actually, I don't really like that. I like this one better. And that. So you've maybe got 20 ornaments on the shelf, but you can whittle them down to 5 really memorable objects or ornaments that you enjoy and love seeing. And that then just, as Clara says, lifts your spirits every time you look at them, where they were lost when there was 20 objects on the shelf. So it's about having a look at that. That's a really good challenge, them, actually, to get people to think about that.
And I think it's really interesting because I've heard like someone say to me, well, but I love all my objects, and like, so how, like, I love everything in my house, and there's like loads and loads. And then I had another client and she's like, oh, I love all this stuff. And I'm like, if you love it, why is it dusty and on the floor and, between a shelf and a beanbag? Like, why are you not loving it? Like, what is, if you love it, why are you not looking after it? And harsh. And she's like, Zem, you are really harsh. She get one of my clients on, actually.
Yeah,
next week.
That. But it's also about self-love. It's about loving yourself. And if your clothes are on the floor, if your objects are on the floor and you genuinely love them, it's about connecting to the objects and yourself and showing yourself a bit more love by choosing to look after yourself in your home. And it's also about everyone has a different amount of clutter that's right for them. Some people are minimalist, some people are maximalist, some people love obviously I love color, but I have only one ornament in my house, which is Laurel and Hardy, because I love Laurel and Hardy films from when I was a child, and the Panopticon in Glasgow. So it's about what's right for you in your home as well. How much is the right amount for you? And it's just being still and and sitting with yourself and finding that out, because sometimes we can be disconnected. We can have such a fast, busy life and have so much coming into our house that we become disconnected from that.
I was going to say, so to wrap up, we've got about 40 seconds to go. And you can see there's a video that I've done on the perfect object, which you can watch, where you can see the truck. And it was based on, I went around, I inherited my uncle's house, which is or cottage, which was kind of half built and full of stuff and projects. And I was kind of took on board the task for the family of decanting it, and you had loads of stuff. And I went around literally every object and said, are you useful, beautiful, and positively sentimental? And they had to hit 2 out of the 3 at least. And if they didn't hit 2 out of the 3, if they were just 1, then they were out. And then, so my aim in life now is to have 3 out of the 3 in my life. But so useful, beautiful, and full of love is my advice. And everything about objects, about people, really about everything. So I would like to say thanks to everybody for watching us, and thank you, Elaine and Clara. And we set you onwards with the task of finding that useful object. Please do keep spreading the word. On the YouTube channel, you'll have videos from Elaine as well, and videos from Clara, and from myself, and all the best. And we look forward to seeing you in a week's time.
Yeah.
Cheerio, everybody.
Have a good week. Bye.